Boom, what's going on, people? We're back again with another video. Now, we know that when it comes to Amy Slaton and her ex-husband, well, soon to be ex-husband Michael Halterman, it turns out that these two, of course, are going separate ways. And it also turns out that whilst filming throughout season 4, they had their conflict for some time. Now, we know that these two have only been married for 4 years, but they are obviously high school sweethearts. So the relationship has been going on for a very long time. But at the same time, though, it has been reported that the family haven't always necessarily been a fan of Michael. Now we fast forward to where we are right now, where we then started finding out that Amy had decided to leave her ex-husband Michael, or soon to be, shall I say, ex-husband Michael. But then after that, it then came out that it was then Michael who actually then initially filed for the divorce. But now we have got new information coming in and saying that Michael, well, hasn't exactly been a very good person. As you can see here, reported by TV spoilers, it does say that the reports of Amy and Michael's divorce went public last month. The couple finally decided to split after 4 years of tying the knots. Before this, they were high school sweethearts and £1,000 sisters, thought they were the one for each other. Well, the latest reports suggest that their relationship got toxic by the end. It turns out Amy Slaton had to call 911 as her husband got violent. Apparently, he became aggressive. And you really don't want to hear these things, but he became aggressive that he started breaking stuff around the house. While this happened, their kids, Gage and Glenn, were under the same roof. I mean, honestly, when I first came up across this information, I was like, nah, you can't be telling me this is true. You can't be telling me that this man had the audacity to allegedly be violent, throw things around when his own kids were in the house. That is not a good look to the slightest, given the fact that throughout this season, Michael is definitely being portrayed as a lazy father. Now, whether or not it is 100% legit true that he's a lazy father, that is something that I guess we can't really confirm, only because when it comes to TLC and their editing skills, they always like to portray someone to be the bad person and the other person to be the better person. But in reality, there's never really a good person on TLC TV. Let's keep it 100, you know what I mean? And also at the same time, let's not forget though, if we go back to season 1, all we ever saw Michael do was help Amy out in terms of pushing Tammy around all the time. Season 2, pretty much the same thing. Season 3, around the same thing. The difference is this time they had a child, and of course, you know, when it came to them having a child, they both had to pretty much become better people in terms of keeping a clean house, which we saw was one hell of a struggle between the two. But moving into season 4, though, we have seen that they've been able to keep their new home in better condition. But this time round, we are now in a position where we are seeing Michael then being thrown under the bus, which is quite interesting because we cannot forget that he has been quite helpful with, with Tammy, for so many freaking years, who technically was always the second child, I guess now third child, given the fact that they have more than one. But either way though, we're in a situation where things have gotten ugly. And it then goes on and says the police received a call from Amy reporting the same on February 24th. Once 2 officials reached the scene, they had discovered none of them were under the influence of any substance. As per report, Amy had just broken the news about separating, and Michael didn't want to hear. And Michael didn't want her to. Hence, he grew violent. While there has been no charges on anyone's name since the incident, in fact, the £1,000 sister Star has moved in with her older sister Tammy into her new house with both of her sons. Now, here's the thing, though. Given the fact that there hasn't been any reports, obviously been documented and whatnot, obviously means, I guess, the whole situation has been simmered down and all that kind of stuff. But it's crazy though, because really and truly, I would imagine that if, Amy really had filed, domestic violence against him and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure that when it came to, them splitting up, should have taken the house and he would have had to have found accommodation elsewhere. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, but it is still bizarre to me that Amy's the one that ended up having to move out and not Michael. But given the fact that the police seem as if they're not involved, I guess really and truly Michael got his way by keeping the home while she decided to go live with her sister. But at the same time though, let's be real, we know that Tammy and Amy are attached by the hip, so I can't see Amy making much of a fuss to want to move out and live with her sister Tammy anyway. And also on top of that, we know that Tammy will always allow her sister to come in because at the end of the day, Tammy does not want to be living alone, especially while her husband, Caleb, is still in rehab all the way in freaking Ohio, when in reality, he should be with his wife in Kentucky. But hey, that's a whole different freaking conversation right there. All I know is that when it comes to this family, everything is a complete calamity. Nothing can ever be straightforward. But you know what though, the thing that is going to be most frustrating, I think, moving forward, given the fact that this divorce does go through and their breakup does continue to happen and they don't get back together, a part of me, not a part of me, but a huge part of me really feels bad for the boys, because at the end of the day, we have experienced throughout this season anyway, we've experienced throughout this season, even last season, that when it comes to being a parent or whatnot, Amy definitely struggles to be a parent by herself. But ladies and gentlemen, despite that, let's not forget though that Amy is in a very good position. And when I say very good position, what I'm saying is that she's in a position where she does get a decent wage from the show and also still gets a decent wage from YouTube, obviously, when she does upload. And I can imagine she's got little things here and there that's probably giving her money too if she's smart enough. Point being is that, to be honest with you, the fact that she's now living with Tammy as well, Amy is still in a position where she can still pay for child support if she does struggle to obviously be a single mom and look after the kids. Even though Amy is a stay-at-home mom because she doesn't actually have a job, you know, but we know how Amy struggles with a lot of things, allegedly, according to herself. So for me personally, I really hope that moving forward, Amy can do the right things by hopefully, you know, getting some sort of child support some way, somehow, you know, obviously whether that be giving her child to a nanny to look after or taking her to a nursery or whatever it could be, do you know what I mean? So at least whilst Gage is off there, she can just focus on the one child, do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, all I know is that sometimes when we watch some of these TV shows, depending on what type of parent you are or depending on what walk of life you come from, some of us forget how many options that some people, or that we all have, to be honest with you, to help us obviously, you know, be the best parent possible. But of course, we also forget that not everybody even has those options, because some people don't have much, you know, financial and whatnot, and they're going to do something. But then there's people like Amy who do have a decent financial support, who can really, you know, still do this and that. And also at the same time as well, Amy also does have a decent support from her family as well, because let's be real, each time we've seen the family on the TV show, they are quite close anyway, and Amanda's always been quite grateful. And of course, everyone in the house obviously does have their own responsibilities, but the point I'm trying to say is that moving forward, Amy, I really hope she uses her resources to advantages rather than continue to complain that, you know, now her husband isn't here, this is hard, that is hard. Honestly, no one's ever going to be a perfect parent, but I can tell you this now, if you're in a position where you got resources around and you're not using them, but you're still complaining, I can't have sympathy for the parent. I couldn't have sympathy for the child. But that is just me. That is just my opinion. It's just the way I raise. It's how I see things. Doesn't mean I'm correct. Just the way I see it. But either way, though, with that being said, though, I really hope that these accusations against Michael aren't necessarily true. And if they are true, then I really hope that Amy never goes back, because at the end of the day, nobody should be around someone that has the ability to be throwing anything around their children. You know, and that is just the bottom line. We are role models when we are parents. We are role models even when we're not parents, because as far as I'm concerned, when kids see adults, they want to learn from us, and we got to be careful how we behave, hey. But thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.